Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Sean here. Hey, you might probably already noticed I've got a little bit of a different setup. I'm actually down in the basement now. Wanted to get a little bit of a dark space, try out some different lighting, and just get something a little more maybe dramatic or looks a little bit different. Let me know in the comments if you love it or hate it, but bear with me because I do have to work out a few wrinkles with this and making the video look as good as I can. Now today I've got a Canadian-based company called Tilray. I'm making my way through a lot of cannabis companies actually, and more than I actually knew existed. Now I did know about Tilray, but as I do my research I'm finding more. Today I'm just going to make a video dedicated to Tilray because it is pretty interesting. So I'm just going to go over a company overview very quickly, the news from the last quarter because there is some interesting stuff going on at Tilray. I'll talk a little bit about balance sheets, and then we'll talk about the next steps or near future, and a little bit of the price to sales ratio to finish it off. So let's just jump into the video guys and get it going. By the way, if you guys are new here, I'm documenting my journey to financial freedom. I do topics on investing and personal finance, so if you like that kind of thing, please remember to subscribe. All right, so Tilray is a pharmaceutical and cannabis company incorporated in the United States with primary operations headquartered in Toronto, Ontario. Tilray has operations in Australia, New Zealand, Germany, Portugal, and Latin America. Thank you, Wikipedia. So Irwin Simon is the current chairman and CEO, and the company is actually built of several subsidiaries, and I'll put them up right now. You've got Tilray Canada, Europe and Latin America, Australia, New Zealand. These are all more geared towards medical cannabis. While they also own these other subsidiaries, one called High Park, and that creates consumer products, mostly for Canada. And then there's one called Manitoba Harvest that makes hemp products for both the US and Canada. So this company is a little bit of a different flavor from TruLeaf. TruLeaf is kind of, hyper-focused on a small area in the United States, whereas Tilray is already quite global and have actually an acquisition that we'll talk about as well. So let's just jump into the quarterly news. So we'll go all the way back to January for now because this stock caught the eye of some of our friends at Wall Street Bets, and they had a big spike in January. That's what you see there in the chart, and that's what that's about. Now it started trading also on the TSX on May 5th of this year, so it's fairly new on the TSX, but it's there and it can be traded in Canadian dollars. The big news is that it actually bought another Canadian company named Aphria, which is made up very similarly to Tilray in that it kind of has its start in medical cannabis with a little bit in the kind of adult consumer area as well. What's interesting about the merger is it now makes Tilray, which they kept the name Tilray, but now makes it one of the largest companies in this sector, and probably one of the best positioned to take advantage as federal regulations in different countries start to be more accepting of this industry. So Aphria is a similar company to Tilray in that it has operations in Canada and Germany. It's acquired a beverage company called Sweetwater that it's, the products they're going to come out with are going to be sort of cannabis infused type of drinks. And I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. Let's just jump into some of the balance sheet highlights. Now, what I'm going to talk about here is going to be the last quarter's results for Tilray and Aphria a little bit, and I can't really give you solid numbers because now the two companies are joined, so I don't really know how the two balance sheets would work together, but I'll give you some of the highlights. So it was super easy to find a press release about all the other quarters because Tilray was doing quite well. However, this last quarter they missed their earnings estimates, and it doesn't seem like they've come out with anything on the website as of yet. It reported a quarterly loss of 19 cents a share when there was an estimate to be it should only have lost about 10 cents, but compared to a year ago, this is still a lot better because it was at negative 49 cents per share. So it's still overall moving in the right direction. Revenue was 48.02 million, down 7.8% from 52.1 million of last quarter, and they have only hit their earnings estimates 2 times in the last year. Aphria, on the other hand, not actually a lot better. They posted revenues of $154 million for the period ending at the end of February, and that was down 4.3% from the 161 the quarter before. So they're both experiencing the same sort of pullback or downward pressure on this industry right now. Now, does it bother me? Well, not really. You can't expect companies to beat estimates every single quarter. And actually what's more interesting to me here is this kind of combination of the two companies and how this is going to work. So let's just talk a little bit about kind of near future, or we'll call it next steps perhaps. So the combo of the two companies is actually said to generate $100,000 Canadian in efficiencies, which is, that's a significant amount. And then people are getting kind of, excited about this beverage part of Aphria. Now, if you combine the revenues of both of these companies, you have $685 million, okay? Now, the revenues from the beverages are only $20 million. So at this point, it's not something that makes me very excited, because you need to have something that's quite a lot larger to have a significant contribution to the revenues of this company. But okay, 20 million is 20 million. Maybe they'll expand this a little bit more. It's nice to have that. What about expansion to the US? See, this is where the acquisition of Aphria didn't really help Tilray. In my opinion, Aphria didn't have a big, foothold in the US. You want to be ready in the US for those federal regulations to, flip and then get poised to sort of expand into the US. That's where, the companies like TruLeaf are already starting to do that state by state. It's difficult for a Canadian company to do that in the US right now. And so, maybe they will be in a good spot. They kind of have Tilray has a little bit of a foothold with Manitoba Harvest in there, but hemp's, revenue from hemp has also been decreasing for them in the last quarter. So I'm kind of lukewarm right now about whether Tilray is really ready for it in the US, but on the bright side, they've already kind of expanded into Europe, which is not something that a company like TruLeaf could say. Now let's talk about price to sales ratio. It's something that's always mentioned about growth stocks. So the trailing 12-month PS ratio is 12.35. It's somewhere in the middle. You compare it to the 10.41 of TruLeaf or the 16 plus for Canopy Growth. It's somewhere in the middle, so that's a good, it's not super high, which is good. I'm making my way, like I said, through some of these other cannabis companies, and I'll do a comparison video later where this ratio will be quite important, or at least it'll help you make a decision, hopefully. So finally, is this stock a buy? I'm honestly, like I said, kind of meh about this right now. I think that the price is declining a little bit off of that high from the Wall Street Bets involvement in January, and it's kind of been declining ever since. It's had not its best quarter this last quarter, and so it's sort of been leveling out and trading sideways a bit. But if you look at the analyst estimates, it's not that much lower than where they expect to see the stock in 12 months anyway. So right now, it's probably not my favorite cannabis stock, but it's there for comparison, and that's good. Now, the other point about this is there are rumors swirling around about Wall Street Bets coming back to this stock and trying to, squeeze it again and pump it up. But there aren't as many short sells on this one as maybe some of the other cannabis companies, so I don't really know if it's going to be a target. But if you think so and you're on the Reddit forums and it's something you want to gamble a little bit of money on, consider doing that. But me personally, I honestly can't stomach the Wall Street Bet stuff. It's just a bunch of street youths playing on forums and investing in stuff that I cannot afford. Youths. I know I do a lot of videos where I say usually a stock isn't a buy right away, but maybe in the next quarter or two, or maybe it's a buy right now for me. But Tilray, honestly, I'm probably going to pass and want to make my way through other cannabis companies before I have a verdict. So let me know if you guys agree. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of Tilray. But that's kind of what I have put together for you so far. If you like it or you want to be notified when I put that comparison video up, please remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you found this useful. And until next time, guys, have a great week. Spread the wealth, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. By the way, if you're new here, I do topics on investing and personal finance, and by the way, if you guys are new here, as mentioned, it started in medicine. As mentioned, it started in medical cannabis and is now has some. As mentioned, it started in medical cannabis.